Biden administration is ending the Title 42 pandemic border policy. Coming up on Cronkite News, we talk to Arizona elected officials to hear their thoughts on the lifting of the ban.
Plus, it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We take a look at how survivors are learning to heal themselves from past traumas through art.
And later, we show you a special task force taking care of people's pets while they figure out their future.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Stonah Meadows.
And I'm Colt Almadova. Thank you for joining us. The Biden administration moved to lift Title 42 restrictions at the border. Today, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich announced that along with the Attorneys General of Louisiana and Missouri, they are suing the Biden administration for rescinding public health policy. Cronkite News reporter Andrea Villalobos talks to Arizona legislators about their different views on the restriction.
Thousands of migrants wait at the border before they can submit their applications for political asylum. Arizona lawmakers have differing opinions on whether or not it's convenient to make this move. Title 42 is a public health policy that allows border officials to turn away migrants when there is a serious danger of the introduction of a disease into the United States.
This was not a permanent solution, and that it doesn't really do anything to fix or merge the immigration situation.
Representative Chavez agrees that it is time to rescind Title 42.
How do we work together to keep Arizona safe, to provide human treatment to these individuals, and to find what the next solution for them is going to be? Representative
John Kavanaugh says that this will increase migrants at the border.
I think it's very poor timing to get rid of the Title 42 restrictions and allow what will be monthly tsunamis of illegal border crosses.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, in the 2022 fiscal year from October to February, there were over 94,000 encounters at the southwest land borders.
If and when Title 42 is rescinded, I do believe that we need to transition it into a point in which we don't have it as part of a obstacle for migration into the country.
In a statement regarding the lawsuit against the Biden administration for lifting Title 42, Attorney General Brnovich said, "It's a ridiculously poor decision with a bad intention for border states and American communities across the country." Representative Kavanaugh feels it is necessary to get better control of immigration in Arizona.
Ultimately, what we need to do is to enforce our immigration laws, not just at the border, but internally.
The policy has been in effect since March of 2020. It was implemented at the start of the COVID pandemic in the United States. In the newsroom, Andrea Villalobos, Cronkite News.
President Joe Biden called for a war crimes trial against Russian President Vladimir Putin following attacks in Bucha, one of the towns surrounding Ukraine's capital. Ukrainian officials say the bodies of civilians were found in the town. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the city and called the Russians' actions, quote, genocide. He also called on the Western countries to apply tougher sanctions against Russia. The bodies of 410 civilians were removed from Kyiv area towns that were taken by Russian forces. Biden says he was criticized for calling Putin a war criminal last month, but he stands by his words.
You may remember I got criticized for calling Putin a war criminal. Well, the truth of the matter, you saw what happened in Bucha. This warrants him, he is a war criminal. But we have to gather the information. We have to continue to provide Ukraine with the weapons they need to continue the fight. And we have to gather all the detail so this can be have a war crime trial.
The Russian military defense called the videos of dead civilians in Bucha fake, saying, quote, not a single local resident suffered any violent action during their occupation of the town.
A new program in Arizona allows parents to become licensed health aides to their medically fragile children. This means they can now be hired by any Medicare certified home care agency and get paid to provide care they have already been giving to their children. The legislation passed last year, but parents can now officially train, test, and receive certification. This will help ease with the short supply of home nurses and needing to have someone else come into their home to provide care. A bill that eases limits on the amount of opioids doctors can prescribe to patients has passed through the state legislature. The House voted 54-5 to create exemptions to a 2018 law that limits the quantity of opioids doctors can prescribe per day. The new exemptions permit higher doses in cases of pain that is excruciating, constant, and incurable, or pain that produces mental or physical debilitation. The bill now heads to the governor's desk.
April marks Sexual Assault Awareness Month, a time when survivors, families, and advocacy groups work to raise awareness surrounding sexual violence. Cronkite News reporter Liz Flores explains how a local workshop is helping women to overcome their traumas.
Sexual assault survivors shared their stories in the workshop De Colores a Chicanos por la Causa.
All kinds of different people to kind of help them work through different kinds of trauma and work towards a little bit of healing or empowerment.
Kate Chisholm is one of the instructors. She focuses on helping survivors navigate through their past and current trauma.
Just different ways of connecting with survivors where they don't have to speak of their experience necessarily, but still can find a way to work through and process some of the things that they feel around it.
They use different techniques like drawing and molding to help alleviate their pain and frustrations.
How she's able to use clay as a medium to really get in touch with other people and understand their trauma better.
Leticia Lauri Garcelazo is also an instructor and a sexual assault survivor. She understands the gravity of the issue and the importance of victims speaking out.
We know it's hard. We know it's hard to somebody believe you or maybe listen, but we are here.
If you or someone you know has been a victim of domestic violence, call the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence helpline at 800-782-6400. You can also reach the New Life Center at 623-932-4404 or connect with them on Facebook.
After the break, we take a look at the difficult decisions people have to make in today's housing market, and a special task force trying to make those decisions a little easier.
Plus, it may be harder to find cat food for your pets. We take a look at why this shortage is happening coming up.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation about things that are happening in Washington and around the country. But it's also a show about issues that are relevant to different communities. How do you think that, as the moderator, I feel this deep responsibility to bring in those other perspectives so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives?
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS.
The Phoenix area saw housing prices surge more than 32% in 12 months. Those jumps in rent and housing mean people have to make really tough financial choices, including deciding between keeping their home or keeping their pets. The Arizona Pet Project has teamed up with other organizations to help people stay connected to their furry friends. A typical day at Altered Tales Barnard Clinic, dozens of animals wait their turn to see the vet.
They're like 8.5 months old.
For the first time, this affordable nonprofit clinic is seeing pet owners struggling with basic necessities because of the huge increase in housing costs.
How are you going to find housing? How are you going to find resources? Do you know how hard it is to live in a car with a cat? You know what it's like trying to put them in a carrier and live your life with a cat inside a Hyundai?
We have this huge subsect of the population, our low-income community, who are struggling every day to make ends meet, facing impossible choices. Who eats? Do you keep a roof over your head or get your dog emergency veterinary care?
Leanna Taylor is the CEO of the Arizona Pet Project, an organization that provides resources to families so they stay connected to their pets.
One of the things that we're able to do for them is place their pets into temporary boarding, where we'll care for their animal for 30, 60, or 90 days until that family is able to regain housing and stability, and then reunify those pets and their people.
The Arizona Pet Project teamed up with several animal welfare organizations to create the Pet Housing Help AZ Task Force. In addition to temporary housing, they've teamed up with other groups like Altered Tales to build a scholarship program and an application process for pet owners to get the services that they need.
You can't feel judged or marginalized by Altered Tales because we know what you've been through, we've been there, and we want to make sure that you're successful and you're the best pet owner you can be.
Other resources include pet food assistance, veterinary care, and rental and utility assistance for pet owners facing financial hardship.
Arizona Pet Project encourages people in the community to get involved through fostering animals, making donations, or volunteering. To find out more information on how to get involved or if you are looking for pet housing help, go to pethousinghelpaz.org.
You may notice a shortage of cat food when trying to buy some for your furry friend. According to a professor at Iowa State University, COVID-19 supply chain issues are to blame, specifically a shortage of meat used in the cat food. There is also a shortage of aluminum, which is used to package certain cat foods. There was an increase of cat adoptions when the pandemic first began, and people have continued to adopt cats at high rates. The latest report out today by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change finds in one scenario that it is possible to limit climate change by 2030 by cutting greenhouse gas emissions nearly in half. Cronkite News reporter Atria Maneshny joins us now with more on what this means.
This report finds that the average annual global greenhouse gas emissions hit their highest levels in human history between 2010 and 2019. That rate is slowing down, but not fast enough. The IPCC warns that if emissions aren't drastically cut by 2030, limiting global warming to 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit will be beyond reach. This means an increase in extreme conditions, including floods, wildfires, and droughts. However, climate expert Diana Urgeforsat said today during a presentation that it is possible to slow down the effects of climate change. One way is to transition the energy sector.
This will involve a substantial reduction in fossil fuel use, low or no carbon energy systems, widespread electrification, use of alternative fuels such as hydrogen and sustainable biofuels, use of carbon capture and storage, and improved energy efficiency.
That's slowly starting to happen around the globe, including here in Arizona. The state has the 7th highest number of registered electric vehicles, and Arizona is incentivizing solar installations through state tax credits. In the newsroom, Atria Maneshny, Cronkite News.
Hotter temperatures are making a comeback here in Arizona. Evan Liss is in the Cronkite News Weather Center to tell us how scorching this week looks.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot one in our area this week. That's going to be the main weather story, and it's all due in large part to this big ridge that's building over the western United States. When you look at this upper level pattern, this kind of decides our weather across the United States. You see this light orange kind of dome that builds over the western United States. This is going to induce mainly three things: very warm temperatures, bone dry conditions later in the week. Definitely want to get the chapstick out, and also make sure to stay fire weather aware. And it's also going to clear out our skies. We have abundant sunshine on tap for this week in our area and the desert Southwest in general. So taking a look at our overnight temperatures here, 66 degrees in Phoenix, 63 expected in Yuma, and 36 degrees in Flagstaff. But looking at the highs for tomorrow, this is where you can start to see that heat take hold of our area. 94 degrees for Phoenix, 95 degrees in Yuma, and then almost 70 degrees, really balmy for Flagstaff for a high temperature tomorrow. So all these warm temperatures, it makes you think you want to get out to a water source. We're always thinking of that in the desert, in the Valley of the Sun. So your pool forecast or lake forecast for tomorrow, 84 degrees at 12 p.m. That's when the sun is actually going to be the strongest. 8 is our UV, so definitely make sure to put on sunblock. 4 p.m., 92 degrees while the sun decreases. Our temperatures go up around that time period. So again, if you're outdoors, make sure to put the sunscreen SPF 30 or higher on, not just for tomorrow, but for the rest of the week. Looking at the rest of our week, by Sunday, we're really hot, 98 degrees on Saturday, and then we start to cool down as a disturbance moves through our area. You can see a big dip in temperatures. The winds kick up on Monday, but again, the big story, take a look at all these 90s on the board. So prepare for them. For now, Evan Liss in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
I'm Zachary Larson. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Ahead of the Men's Basketball National Championship, we take a look back at the Wildcats' title run 25 years ago.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation about things that are happening in Washington and around the country. But it's also a show about issues that are relevant to different communities.
How do you think that...
As the moderator, I feel this deep responsibility to bring in those other perspectives so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives.
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Zachary Larson, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. Will it be North Carolina or Kansas? The two teams battle for the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship tonight. We know at least one Valley fan who will be rooting for the Tar Heels, the Suns' Cam Johnson. Johnson's younger brother, Puff Johnson, plays for Carolina. Tar Heels head coach Hubert Davis says playing in the Final Four might be better than any other basketball experience.
That was the best place personally that I'd ever experienced. And I told him, I said, you know, I played 12 years in the NBA, and that was my finest as a basketball player, finest moment, just being a part of the Final Four. And I was trying to convey to them of how special it is to be here. And now that they're being able to experience it is great.
And you might notice some familiar faces on the Jayhawks as well. Former ASU fan favorite Remy Martin transferred to Kansas last offseason and now has a chance to win a national title along with senior teammate Mitch Lightfoot, who played at Gilbert Christian High School. Kansas coach Bill Self, who only has one title to his name, says this team could win it all.
I don't think that I personally feel pressure that we have to win, but I do know that when you have a chance to coach at a place where you have an opportunity to be in the game most years, you need to take advantage of that more than we have.
March 31st marked the 25th anniversary of Arizona's national championship run in 1997. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Blake takes us on a trip down memory lane of that championship and what the title meant for the team.
Honestly and truly, I don't think anybody in their wildest imagination would have had any idea what was coming.
We weren't the best team, but we got hot in that 6-game stretch.
I think if anybody told you at the end of that season that team would go on a run and win a national championship in the tournament, you would have said they're crazy.
After losing their final 2 games of the regular season, the Arizona Wildcats entered the 1997 NCAA tournament as a 4 seed in the Southeast region and an afterthought for title contention. But 6 games later, the Wildcats shocked the country and delivered Arizona its first and only national championship.
It's the greatest tournament run in the history of the NCAA tournaments. 3 number 1 seeds we beat to win the national championship, the only time that's ever been done. 3 of the winningest programs in the history of college basketball in Kansas, in North Carolina, in Kentucky.
You cannot ask for a better opportunity against the blue bloods of college basketball and to be able to knock all 3 of them off. And really, when no one gave us a chance to win any of those games, that makes it even sweeter.
25 years later, it is still a shining moment that will never fade.
Out of all the championships I've won, all the basketball experiences I've had over my lifetime, that NCAA championship, man, there was no greater feeling than that.
This was a dream come true for everybody affiliated with Coach Olson and Arizona basketball. And to actually witness the game was one of the most special nights of my life.
For the players, delivering head coach Lute Olson his only national championship during his 24 years in Tucson is an unforgettable moment.
It means the world to me that we were able to provide that for Coach Olson. Getting that championship really solidifies you in the coaching realms of being a Hall of Famer, and Coach Olson was that every single day of his life. And so we were the one that actually got it done and were able to solidify that for Coach O. That's what really means the most to me.
Each year during March Madness, the players reconnect and reminisce about cutting down the nets. In Phoenix, Ryan Blank, Cronkite News.
The magical 6-game run through the tournament 25 years ago was a season-long win streak for the Wildcats. The Suns will have to wait one more night to earn their historic 63rd win. They lost to the Thunder in a game where they rested Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Jay Crowder. Even with the top seed locked up, the team is still looking to make franchise history. They have another shot of getting that win tomorrow night against the Lakers. And the Coyotes won in overtime against the Chicago Blackhawks in their second game without star winger Clayton Keller. Keller fractured his leg last week and is officially out for the season. The victory was their 22nd of the season, and the team now gets to face the St. Louis Blues tonight. The Diamondbacks officially have an opening day starter. The team announced that Madison Bumgarner will take the hill at Chase Field on Thursday when the team faces the San Diego Padres. The 14-year veteran has started each of the last 3 opening days for the team since they signed him from the San Francisco Giants in 2020. He finished last season with a 4.67 ERA over 26 starts. The ASU women's lacrosse team got their first top 15 win yesterday in program history against number 14 Rutgers in overtime. The Sun Devils were down by 3 at halftime and fought their way back to force overtime with 53 seconds left in regulation. Then graduate attacker Carly Adams got the game-winning goal with less than a minute in sudden death overtime. The program has existed since 2018. That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Colt.
Chorale groups were devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic and were seen as super spreaders. We take a look at how these groups adapted in order to continue singing through the pandemic.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
I was so excited when I learned that I was going to be the next moderator of Washington Week. I was incredibly lucky to be mentored by Gwen Ifill, and what that gave to me was this confidence that I could be my full self and that I was deserving of whatever spaces I was in.
Welcome to Washington Week.
I also feel this great joy in taking the helm of Washington Week, knowing that I can mold it and make it my own, but also make sure that it is still within the legacy and the tradition that made it so great for all of these years.
Since the start of the pandemic, chorale groups were seen as the super spreaders of all super spreaders and were forced, like many other organizations, to think creatively. Cronkite News reporter Molly Hudson spoke with 2 groups about the challenges they faced and what they are doing now.
In my opinion, I think it grew us together more. It made our bond stronger.
Hezekiah, Santiago, and Byron have been with the Phoenix Boys Choir since before the pandemic started. When the pandemic hit, the choir shifted to rehearsals online.
We really were not interested in taking a hiatus. And to us, it seemed that we felt like we can figure this out. We're going to go immediately online.
But the challenges were still present. It was hard to sing synchronously, so they tried creative ways to sing together while staying apart, like a car choir outside the rehearsal building.
As a result, the boys would pull in with their parents in the car, get hooked up, because they had to be hooked up to the soundboard, and suddenly we were rehearsing together, synchronously. And that was kind of like a, oh my gosh, this is an amazing experience for the boys.
Now the boys are back singing in harmony in person, but the masks have stayed on and the energy is still alive.
It's one of those moments that you would find in a movie where everybody's crying because they get to see each other again. And that was a great part of the boys' choir, being back in person.
One other chorale group in the Valley has decided to go without masks for performances.
But our singers have sung
in performance unmasked since we came back. It was either we're going to do it or we're just not going to.
Phoenix Chorale faced similar obstacles to the boys' choir.
Most choirs had the choice to, especially early on, to either do nothing, find great video that they had from the past and do something with it, or to try and do something called virtual choir.
The chorale tried reworked videos and sang virtually. Although the pandemic challenged both chorale groups, they learned a lot and cherished the feeling of community. The pandemic was a difficult adjustment, but both groups never lost their voice.
When you're in the boys' choir, you don't join and then immediately quit. You're dedicated to it. That's why we're all still in the boys' choir.
In Phoenix, Molly Hudson, Cronkite News. Both organizations are in the middle of their performance season. The boys' choir is looking forward to going on tour, and the Phoenix Chorale is looking forward to their upcoming performances.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.